In January 14th meeting to order. And I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. You're brave to come out on a pretty cold night. You're brave. So we'll get started here, and let's see, I'll start on, we have on the calendar. On the calendar, I want to make mention that our town offices will be closed January 20th for Martin Luther King Day. And then our next board meeting will be January the 28th, a regular scheduled meeting. And announcements, I'd like to tell John how very, very sorry to hear about his mom passing. Liver factor. I don't know if a lot of you remember. I know Julia and myself were on the board with her for 12 years. She was an excellent board member, and I always called her my partner in crime. Her and I worked together on a lot of things, and she was an outstanding board member. And the reason that she left when she did was John's dad, Rex, was having some health issues, and she says, "Gary, I got to take care of Rex. That's more important right now in my life." So she stepped down to take care of your dad there. So I just want to tell you on behalf of the board that we're sorry for it. You know.
Thank you. Mayor, can I say one thing about that as well? She was an incredible lady, and I'm very honored to have gotten to meet her.
Yeah.
And she did a lot of things in the community. Like, she was one of the founders of Heart Theater.
Yeah, a lot of folks don't know that the reason that Heart Theater is here is because of Liva and John's dad were the original folks that got that cranked up and got that going, and the fundraiser, and actually the building paid for it before it was supposed to be paid for. So,
and one that's near and dear to my heart is Voices of the Laurel. She was the founding board chair of Voices of the Laurel.
Mm-hmm.
So she did incredible things.
Another thing she was involved with, sergeants.
Yes.
Yeah, sergeant. She was, if you see her going down the street, there's always a dog hanging out the window. So she was a big time dog lover.
So I'm very blessed to have gotten to spend the time I did, and I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on. We've got a public comment time. You'll be keeping me. So there'll be like a 3-minute time limit, which the town attorney will keep, and also the town attorney will also call each name up for us there. So when you're ready.
Okay. Debbie Hall. I wasn't expecting to be first. I'd actually like to be last. However, I wanted to say I have no idea what's coming. I just wanted to address the board once again about parking issues that we're facing in Hazelwood. It's true that we are facing parking issues all the way through Waynesville. I mean, this is not just, Hazelwood Avenue that's a problem. It's been a problem on Depot Street. It's a problem on Main Street, trying to utilize the available parking that we have the best way we can. I have advocated in the past for 30-minute parking up and down Hazelwood Avenue, parallel parking by the stores. My landlord now he understands. We actually had time to get together and discuss different parking issues. He understands that it's not just a problem on our end of town, but the other shops, the dog groomer, the bridal shop and all this, having some short-term parking spaces available is a good thing. In the past, when I have brought this up, it was pretty much denied based on the ability to enforce some of these changes, should changes be made. I have advocated this time for a 15-minute loading, unloading zone on our end of Hazelwood, because those terms, loading and unloading zone, they carry a different weight to them. In some respects, it could be self-enforcing. People have a tendency not to park in loading zones more than the designated time, because there is that fear of being towed. So that is one way that I'm trying to preserve some parking where it matters most for shops, where an employee, a business owner cannot park there all day. Someone can't park in that one parking space all day. But this is greater than one parking space. There really does need to be some kind of time limit on some of those spaces in Hazelwood to keep, someone from actually parking on the street all day. And it happens with my employees. I have no control over that because I can't do anything legally about that. So I'm just advocating again to, what I would like to see happen is everybody kind of form a committee or something and sit down and just talk about parking issues in Waynesville. I do believe they can be enforced. All it takes is the desire to do so. I think changes can be made. I think the empowerment needs to be given to our law officials to help police this. I think we need to have the backbone to back them up if they do make a change, leave tickets or whatever. There are programs all the way, I don't know how many programs are available, but I saw a great one in Nashville, Tennessee, where they are pretty much hands-free with their parking issues. And there are other ideas that can be brought to the table for discussion on how best to help the merchants in Waynesville. That was my point. The one parking space, as far as the loading zone because it carries weight. Thank you so much for your time.
That part is on the agenda tonight, so.
Okay.
Chad Brown.
Good evening. My name is Chad Brown. I never come argue or fuss or bring up anything, but I'm the owner of operator of Hazelwood Gun and Tactical, located at 495 Hazelwood Avenue. We've been in business since 1989, and parking has always been an issue. That's why I feel compelled to speak on this issue this evening. Ms. Hall has requested a 15-minute loading zone sign placed in front of her business at 500 Hazelwood Avenue, making one of the two spots in front of her business a 15-minute loading zone, and the other is already a designated handicap space. That would only further complicate parking issues. I have spoken to other businesses in the area, and none of them in favor of a loading zone being placed in that area. I have given you all copies of the signatures stating the fact. The reason behind Mrs. Hall's wanting the sign is due to the fact I parked my truck in the space in front of her bakery one day when Miss Hall and her employees were parked in the spaces I normally occupy in the gravel lot beside our shop. Please keep in mind that the gravel lot is private property and not public parking. It is not my property, but I do have permission to park there and had to have permission for many years. I purchased the gravel and I keep the lot maintained as part of the agreement I have with Matt Haynes over at Giles Kimball. Miss Hall seems to feel that she should have a designated 15-minute loading zone space for her customers in front of her business, but has no regard for any other business in the area. I have given you all copies of timestamps for a week of her employees parking in front of other businesses on a daily basis. That has been going on for months. Please consider the other businesses, their opinions when deciding this matter. Parking in Hazelwood is already an issue, and removing another parking place will not be beneficial to anyone. Thank you for your time.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's one more. Andrea Brown.
Good evening. I'm Andrea Brown. It's no surprise I'm part of the Brown family. They've been my in-laws have been in business, like he said, since 1989. Pops left Cecil and Chad with the amazing ability to carry on and responsibility to carry on his legacy as proud business owner in Hazelwood. My father and my father-in-law raised their children to hold themselves in such a way that no one had to question our integrity. And that today is why I'm here. I've done my homework. There's not any other loading zone on Main Street or Frog Level. There hasn't been a need for one in any other busy area. So tell me, why is Hazelwood now again on the agenda for having not even times parking but a loading zone. May 28th, 2024, this council voted unanimously no to a loading zone and time parking all through Hazelwood. To me, all of this boils down to people's feelings were hurt. There was a fight. Cops were called because we told them, hey, you don't want to get blocked in. It's holiday season. You can park back here where we park. We can't guarantee that the parking you won't be blocked in. My husband, yes, parked in front of her business all day long, but a business owner cannot complain when her own staff is doing the same exact thing to other businesses in Hazelwood. My point is, we don't have the staff with law enforcement to force a Monday through Saturday loading zone for 15 minutes. I can guarantee you, I know a business owner who will enforce it because that's going to be her loading zone. It's not going to be a loading zone for Hazelwood. It's going to particularly pertain to that one business. It's not going to help out the rest of Hazelwood. Am I petty? Absolutely. Has my family's name been drunk through the mud? The Browns do this, the Browns do that. The Browns uses Hazelwood as their own playground. Yes. Those words came out of her mouth. Those words are very derogatory. That hurts the integrity of who my father-in-law was to this town. I get that some people think that the Browns run and own Hazelwood. We don't. We're just proud of where we come from. They are amazingly proud of the town that this is and the work that we've done with the boosters, with the board. I think we have an amazing relationship, and that's why I'm here. I don't want our name to be dragged through the mud over a freaking parking spot. That's what it is. It's a parking spot, and it needs to stay there. There's a loading, unloading dock on the back of the building. So why can that not be used? Along with the gravel parking lot that has plenty of parking for staff. So that's my 3 points in my 3 minutes. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll move right along. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor. On the consent agenda, item 2D, the renewal for lease for John Grayson Carroll to provide land for police communication towers. We need to replace the lease that is in the agenda with the lease that was provided by the town attorney.
Okay, so you're gonna,
And I'll make a motion to that.
make an amendment?
Yes.
Okay. A second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign. Okay. All right. To the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Got a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign. Okay, we will. Okay, we got some presentations tonight, and first one is Joanne. Is Joanne here? Miller? Yes, okay.
Hello, I'm happy to be here and see all of you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm here this evening to discuss a noise ordinance, 95.02 B 3 and 6. This addresses daytime noise violations and continuous problems with like barking dogs and running vehicles and loud music, things like that. I have spoken to Jesse Fowler, Assistant Town Manager, and he was very helpful and confirmed that myself, and I've brought my neighbors with me, are entitled to peaceful enjoyment of our property. I hope you have some materials in front of you that include an aerial, possibly you've got one of the videos, and a letter by 4 of our surrounding neighbors that are having a problem. If you look at the aerial, I've circled several addresses on Farley Street. This is an ongoing problem with dogs. We have some of our neighbors are dog owners, but there's 3 people on Farley Street that are neglecting their dogs, letting them run loose, and they are basically sound like they're being tortured. I took a video last night of one that was so bad that it brought me to tears. The problem that we're having is when we call law enforcement, and this is, I'm not talking about this dog's barking for 20 minutes. I'm talking all day long. This happens. You can't sit on your porch. You've probably read my letter. You can't listen to music. You can't take a nap. One of my neighbors, Pete, has boarded up his bedroom window to try to get some peace. And he's wanting to move out of the neighborhood, which makes us all sad because we're all kind of tight. We've got a nice neighborhood on Garland Street. My hopes today is that law enforcement will be educated on the daytime noise ordinances and the punishments for violating them, which I understand is a written warning. These are misdemeanor 3, I believe. And then after that, there are fines. I know I've got 10 minutes. Is that right? I have 10 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to play other audio for you?
Short 10 minutes.
What I would like to do is play a video for you, and no, this is a totally different one. And I don't know if anybody is interested in holding the phone and actually seeing what I captured, because you can see dogs just wildly, they're chained up and they're back and forth, back and screaming, and they're crawling out of windows in this house.
If you turn your phone around, we can actually see it on the monitor.
Oh, do what now?
If you turn your phone around, we can actually see it on our monitor.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's do that. All right. So how do I do this? Just turn it
your
around?
phone around and you're on
Mhm.
camera.
All right, let me turn it up. I'm sorry, guys.
And if you would like to help me.
There we go.
I want you to listen carefully. I did this for 2.5 minutes. I don't know if you want to hear the whole thing, but it gets very disturbing. And if you can see the video, there's dogs tied up that are just, they're miserable. They're out there in 15-degree weather. They're scratching and biting themselves. They're neglected. And we got one that's trying to come out the window to be with the other dogs. You hear that? Okay. And then I'm going to play this other one for you. And I don't know if you can see it, but this is the dog trying to climb out the window. Can you see it? It's real small, yeah, but you can, there's a dog trying to get out the window. Now this is, I'm gonna stop it right now because I have other, my neighbors with me who also have videos that they'd like to share. Pete would like to share the backyard.
I was gonna say that going on 4 years, I lived here every night, every weekend. And it's the same thing over and over again. I literally don't come home about what I want to do. I've got to the point of going down there so frustrated that I'm afraid that things are gonna get angry and heated, and I don't want that to happen. So, 4 years.
Erica's been there.
Yeah, just got to the point where I want to get home.
It's emotionally draining on us because we close our doors and we can still hear it. We can't have company over and sit on our porches in the spring. And to watch these poor dogs and what they're going through, I literally get a view of it every single day. Every single day I got to watch these dogs. I'm sorry. It's emotional.
No. I listened to your video. Watched your videos.
I think that it's really
well
important
aware.
that we educate law enforcement that there is an ordinance in place for daytime noise violations. And rather than being condescending to us when we call and refusing to come out, which has happened more than once, I've had to have Erica call back because I was told we're not coming out.
How many times have you called the city police department?
I have called Waynesville Police Department on my own at least 6 times.
Do
I-
do you know that every phone call is logged?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so
So
I'm,
we know the number you've called. We already know.
okay. All right.
Um,
Was there an issue with my phone call?
we only have one call.
Oh, well, no, I've called before,
Okay, well,
Have
it
you-
wasn't
but
recorded.
maybe not
Everything's
recently.
logged. Yeah, that was in the last
Right.
365 days. There's been one telephone call. to the police
Right.
department.
We
one
can't
telephone.
help you if you don't call us.
Did you call Erica?
Okay.
I can give you the telephone number. It's 828-456-5363.
Yeah, that's the phone number.
What we can do is help you with the noise ordinance. The
Okay.
condition of the dog would be, the purview of the animal control of the county. We don't have the governmental control of the condition of the dog.
Right, I
So-
understand that.
Okay, so we can help you with the noise ordinance.
Right, and what
Absolutely.
about, is there any help for the dog owners themselves to be educated? To maybe help them? House
Usually-
their
Usually a
animals?
citation will help.
Okay,
Just saying, animal control is legislated by the state, and that's a county function. So
right,
for animal control, it's the county. For noise ordinance, it's the police department.
And we'll help you with the noise.
And we will definitely help
Okay.
you with the noise ordinance.
so what can we expect from moving forward? Like if I
You-
called,
You need to follow the ordinance. You
Okay.
need to call, we respond. We have to listen to it, I think, for 10 minutes, Jesse? 10 minutes?
The dog is barking, if you're intermittent, any animal, you're intermittently, and then afterwards.
Right, and then we can work with the owner.
okay,
And then you have to call because every call ups, if you will, ups the ante.
okay. And there
So-
may have been calls made to that, another number besides the
Right.
5363 number.
Yeah.
That is the Waynesville Police Department. If you
Okay.
call the sheriff's department, it's something totally different.
Okay,
Yeah,
But 828-456-5363, and that will put it on the law.
okay,
And that goes for any of you guys.
Please.
Are with it. You call the police department.
okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything they want to add?
yeah, we'll notify the patrol division of, the issue.
Okay,
And I did talk to the police chief about it today as well. and he's
You
aware.
did?
Yes.
okay. Well, I certainly appreciate your time and hopefully things get better, not only for the neighbors, but for the animals themselves.
You should have,
Yeah, yeah,
Again, it's 828-456-5363.
gotcha.
Call.
police department.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the police department.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
Have a good
you.
evening.
We totally understand where you're
Thank
coming
you, I
from.
appreciate that.
I was gonna let you figure it out, but we took it out. Okay, we've got another presentation by Dr. John Mason. Thought that was a familiar.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you.
Make sure they all get one before I. Here, pass mine down to Martha.
Hi, my name's John Mason. I know many of you, and I think you know me. And I first of all want to thank you for taking the time to consider this proposal. I know that you have a lot of challenging subjects that you deal with all the time, and hopefully this will be a little bit more uplifting. I've had the honor over the past 5 years of being the physician for our police department and for Maggie Valley, and for some extent for our troopers as well. And over that period of time, I've had hundreds of interactions with them, their families and their children, and I've come to find out that we have a problem in Waynesville in terms of trying to get primary care. And I'm sure some of you have had some of the same issues. And so it came to my attention that the county was a little bit different because we have some care for the county. So I wanted to suggest something, and that is to create a medical walk-in in the town of Waynesville. So Waynesville and its surrounding communities of Maggie Valley, Canton, and Clyde have dedicated employees, and these employees are a large part of why our town is as beautiful as it is and so welcoming. And Western North Carolina, not just Waynesville, has a problem trying to secure enough physicians and care for those who are here. It's become increasingly difficult to find primary care in our town. And many of our employees either have to delay their care or they don't get it at all, either because they don't trust who's here, or they don't recognize them, or it's different every time, or it's too expensive. And so their care gets delayed. Many of these employees, our employees, end up in emergency departments, which are notoriously expensive and time-consuming. And the most common reason why our employees call off sick is either they're sick, their families are sick, one of their children is sick, and so they have to call off from work. And we lose productivity as a result of that. Now, it's a little different with the county. And a lot of people don't know this, but county employees in Haywood, in Buncombe, in Transylvania have their medical walk-in clinic. Our county has a medical walk-in clinic right behind Mountain Projects. And so if you're with the sheriff or EMS or you work for the county, you don't have to call, you just go and they take care of you. And I think that's great. Those programs are self-funded. I think it's a line item on the taxes. Those walk-ins help to keep the employees healthy. And it also helps to keep morale up for the employees of the county. Now, the cities of Waynesville, Maggie Valley, Clyde, and Canton are currently paying a lot of money for high-quality health insurance. But we have to understand there's a difference between having health insurance and actually getting health care. I don't think we're getting the benefit of our bargain. In talking with human resources and people who know these matters better than I do, when you include the employees of the city, their spouses and their children, for the cities of Waynesville, Maggie Valley, Clyde, and Canton, we're talking about 1,000 lives. In my practice, in my field, when you've got 1,000 patients, that's what we consider a fully mature practice. I mean, that's what you get after you've been doing it for 15 years and you don't want any more patients. You know, that's a full practice. And every one of these employees of ours, by definition, have great insurance. So if we were to start a walk-in primary care clinic for our employees, it would pay for itself. And as a matter of fact, if you wanted it to be, it could be a profit center for the city of Waynesville. So just so that you understand what I have in mind, I'm not trying to develop an urgent care. I think that's part of what it would be. My vision on this is to have primary care to deal with the chronic issues, the hypertension, the diabetes, the obesity, depression, as well as what happens if I get sick today. If you get sick today, we're going to see you today, not 2 or 3 weeks from now. So many of our officers have chronic issues that are better served in a more formal brick and mortar type facility. And when I try and get them into a facility like that here, I've not had much success. And so we have to go to a place like Asheville, and Asheville is booked out until March. So that's the burden that we have, our employees have. And so in summary, primary care is lacking in our area. Our employees are having difficulty getting prompt care. Our employees have high quality health insurance. Employees of local counties have this care, there's no better way to show that you care for your employees than to actually care for them. And so if we combine a program to include Waynesville, Maggie Valley, Clyde, and Canton, we would immediately have a mature, self-funding program. And so I have three proposals. The first is to create a task force to include Mr. Heights and as many town council members that are interested to evaluate the feasibility of creating a primary care and walk-in medical clinic for the benefit of the employees of Maggie Valley, Waynesville, Clyde, and Canton. Number two, that we meet with the Chief Executive Officer of Haywood Regional Medical Center, Mr. Chris Brown, who, by the way, we have an appointment with tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Anybody's interested, to discuss the role that they could serve in establishing a primary care walk-in clinic to serve the employees of Waynesville, Maggie Valley, Clyde, and Canton. They have lots and lots of reasons to want to become involved in this, not the least of which is that so many of the employees go right past them for a whole host of reasons, and they would want to be our preferred provider in this effort. And then number three, to send out a questionnaire, because I like getting data and letting it talk to us. To send out a questionnaire to the employees of Waynesville that would ask, if the town of Waynesville were able to provide the services of a primary medical walk-in clinic to you and to your family in a similar way as being currently provided for county employees, would you see this as a benefit and would you use it? Any questions? In your packet, I've also included a pro forma. So my background involved running trauma centers, but at some point along the journey, I've opened 4 of these clinics. So it's not a mystery on how to do it, what works, what doesn't work, how to make it functional and efficient, how to make it profitable. And I think if there's something that I could give back to Mike, and by the way, I don't see myself as being, I mean, eventually we'll end up getting a position to do this other than myself. I don't see myself being that guy. I mean, I can be that person. I can get it started, but I want this to outlive me. I mean, I don't want this to be about John. I want this to be about Waynesville. So we could set up a primary care medical office walk-in based upon the money you're already spending for health insurance to give our employees here and in surrounding communities something that they don't have. It'll be better for them. It'll improve morale. It'll keep people healthier. You know, we can do outreach programs. We can actually improve the quality of their healthcare and their lives by doing something.
I have a comment and a question. After you and I discussed this, I guess, a month or so ago.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've come to learn, and perhaps this is not unique to the town of Waynesville, but our staff, by and large, is doctor averse. And so they end up delaying seeking health care until they are perhaps sicker than they might ordinarily be, which in turn costs the town extra money. So what role, if any, might you envision this clinic playing in helping address that particular issue?
Yeah, so John, that's a very good point. You know, there are very few professions that are allowed the honor of being involved in families' lives in the way that we are, the physicians. And there's a certain amount of trust that needs to be built there and familiarity. And so if every time you go into the Minnick Clinic and you see there's somebody else, it's pretty scary. You're not really sure if they have your best interest in mind. You're not really sure what's going to happen. But if you know it's this, they've been there for a while, they know you, you have a chart on you, we know what happened the last time with you, And it's gonna be, hey, Bill, how's it going today? What, did you get that medicine that I prescribed for you the last time? It's a completely different environment and experience. And if we can engender that kind of goodwill and trust among the community employees with the health service, they will in fact start seeking us out for all the things that they're delaying. And when you delay healthcare, it's like delaying maintenance on a building. When it comes time to try and rehab it, sometimes you're trying to climb Suicide Hill. So I think that consistency helps, familiarity helps, local helps. And in that way, this could become a success as well.
And I would just like to offer a personal experience that is exactly indicative of the kinds of issues that Dr. Mason is talking about. Is I had a primary care appointment. I've been a patient at Waynesville Family for basically since I moved back to Waynesville 25 years ago. I had an appointment scheduled for mid-November, and lo and behold, the day that of my appointment, I tested positive for COVID. So called them, told them I obviously wouldn't be able to make it, and that I'd call back next week and reschedule the appointment. So 4 or 5 days later, I called back, and the first available appointment was in February, late February. And so over 2 months between, well, almost 3 months between when I was supposed to. Now, fortunately, there is nothing acute that I have to deal with, but you know, if that's the kind of experience, if my experience is similar to what everybody else is happening, this would be just a fantastic opportunity for the town and its employees. And if we can do this, I'm all for it.
Yeah, so imagine a resource where we schedule for routine care and labs and to make sure that your blood pressure medicines are working. We have all the routine care stuff done, and we can schedule that. It's convenient for you and so forth. And if you're sick today, we will see you today. This is not new. We're not recreating the wheel. This has been around forever. And it works because that's what people want. And once we start and show that it can work, and have it be self-sustaining, because you're paying for it already, just not getting the benefit. Then we can do outreach. We can do point of care service. We can do all kinds of things to benefit the healthcare needs of our community in ways that aren't being done now, and yet we're paying for it. So thank you for considering.
And you got an appointment, you said, with Dr.
So tomorrow at 9 o'clock, I'm meeting with Mr. Chris Brown. If any of you would be available, I could use the help. It would be first contact. I've met 2 of the 4 last CEOs out there. I haven't met Mr. Brown, but there's lots of reasons why they need to do an outreach in Haywood County for something just like this. There's no reason that they shouldn't, except maybe regulatory, but we could get around those, and I can explain how to him. And this is an opportunity that CEOs dream about. 1,000 covered, well-insured people that fully more than half of them you don't get to take care of because they go somewhere else.
Yes, Dr. Mason,
Sir,
this wouldn't require any changes to our current insurance, would it?
that's a question that's over my pay grade. Now, I will tell you, we need to get liability insurance for the providers of the practice, and that's in the pro forma that I provided to you. Other than liability insurance, there would need to be, insurance on the physical plant, but that would be lease negotiation.
And
or
I'm
whatever.
sorry, I was talking about our Blue Cross Shield.
Chances are very good that your rates would come down. And here's why. We're going to reduce the amount of people that end up in urgent care and in ERs. We're going to improve, we're going to do all the things that help to increase the metrics for health, which is what Blue Cross quite often uses to determine what they're going to charge you. And if you can show Blue Cross you've got wellness programs and you're actively participating in a way to improve the health care of this group of patients, your rates will predictably go down.
And does this proposal require all 4 towns in the county to make it work?
No, but, and this is your purview. I don't know these politics, but I will say it would work better if it did, because you'd have more covered lives. You'd meet cash flow break even a lot sooner. It'll need to be capitalized a little bit because of the accounts receivable and so forth. But because it's Blue Cross, you're not talking about, waiting 5 months to get paid. You're just weeks. And then so it should catch up pretty quickly. And the more covered lives that you have, the more of a success it can be. And the more quickly we can achieve a full practice. So I'd like to see between 20 and 30 visits a day, which is for this group, not hard. As a matter of fact, it's going to be the challenge, I think, is going to be sustainable growth. So many people are going to want this. We're going to need to make some decisions about, well, when do we add the next provider? That's really what it's going to be.
And one more question, sir. And would you agree that the Haywood Regional Medical Center would certainly be more interested in proposal number 2 than proposal number 1, which would seem to be decrease some of their resources if there were going to be fewer visits to urgent care and
So, yeah.
ER.
So I've never met Mr. Brown, and there's one of 2 ways he's going to approach this. Either one, the regulatory way, well, we can't really help you because of Stark laws and anti-self-referral, blah, blah, blah. Or, we're all in. Matter of fact, we'd like to help you set up a satellite. We'll provide you with recruiting and we'll do the billing for you. We'll own it. You just provide the architecture, the structure upon which it will be formed, and we can take care of that to avoid all of that. I don't know how sensitive an issue it is for them to perhaps upset some of the primary care in the area by setting up something else. And I don't think it's going to be much of an issue, only because primary care is booked out until February. They don't want any more business. They're telling you they don't want. They're full. Leave me alone.
And yet the demand is still there.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with, if whoever wants to choose to join that call tomorrow, we have to be very, there can only be 2 of us that attend that meeting, because if there's 3 of us, it's considered a meeting. So whoever's interested in this should be the ones who take the lead on the council.
I had planned to join the,
I had as well. So
so,
if Chuck
but
has
yeah,
interest,
Chuck, do you have?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
or if the mayor has interest,
That's you, Joe.
Had planned on it,
Okay.
and would like to. I also would be more than happy to, and we can work out the logistics. I like the idea of, Dr. Mason working with Rob to start this process and, find out if it's, a viable opportunity. And then from that point, I understand that having the other municipalities would be advantageous, and I would be more than happy to take the lead on trying to sell this to them.
Then you can come back and report.
Yeah, I would also like to be involved because I was the chair of the Haywood Healthcare Foundation and I could help
There you
navigate
go.
some of those
Yeah.
politics.
Yes,
Why
please.
don't one of you make?
I'll attend any meetings, y'all.
Yes, please.
The best approach, once we decide how we want to formulate this, would be for Dr. Mason and I to set up a meeting with all of them. You know, we're a
Absolutely.
pretty tight-knit group, and that's really the way to get, because the elected officials really don't know the ins and outs of the different insurance policies.
Absolutely.
So I'd approach the other managers.
Just bring us in whenever needed.
And
That's
it
what I
may
would
be
say.
that the county would, might be more interested in doing this than continue with they only allow 4 hours a day, 4 hours per week. So they don't have the scope of services that Dr. Mason's suggesting.
So there's an opportunity there as well, perhaps to fold in what's happening with the county, to make a more comprehensive plan, and to use the dollars that we're already spending a little more efficiently.
So you're interested in going with John?
Yeah.
Yes, but only at the discretion of the town manager to pull us in when needed.
I move that we authorize the staff to work with Dr. Basin and staffs of the other towns to explore the potential for the clinic. And I'd say the other towns and county to explore the potential for the clinic.
Okay, we got a motion,
Second.
second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
So I'll be there a little bit early tomorrow. I'm not sure. So 9 o'clock, and I'll see you then.
At the doctor,
At the hospital.
do you know what floor he's on? I
Yeah,
haven't
I've got
visited.
it.
You know what?
It's on
I've
the
been in
second floor.
administration a couple of times, but what I'm gonna do is just go to information and say, hey, where's administration?
It's on the second floor. If you park in the back, you can come in. Yeah.
So, yeah.
At 9 o'clock.
Anthony
9
knows
o'clock.
everyone.
I've
Ma'am?
been there quite
Anthony
frequently.
knows everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So
Dr.
you're gonna
Mason.
park in the back?
Thank you, John.
Yes.
There is a back, we're doing it in the back. Behind the air conditioning system?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I know exactly where it is.
You got to work that.
Good.
I wonder what I was gonna do at 9 tomorrow.
Yeah, we know.
Move along.
Look,
We've got a lot of stuff, still yet to go here. Got a public hearing coming up. Ms. Oaken, I need a motion in order to open for a public.
We're continuing in public.
Yeah, we're
We're continuing, that's right. This is the
correct.
one,
So it's a motion.
this is the one we're continuing.
Yeah.
I'll make
So-
a motion to reopen the
Reopen.
public hearing from December
They
the
got a
10th.
motion to reopen. Second, Chuck, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. You're on the-
Good evening, Olga Grumman, Assistant Development Services Director. Today is the continuation of the public hearing from December 10th, 2024, related to floodplain regulations. Based on last time's council feedback, today we are bringing you an amended text amendment, where we propose the ordinance to increase the required elevation from 1 foot to 2 feet above the base flood elevation for all new construction and potential improvements which are 50% or more of the market value of the structure. Today, we would like to provide you with the most up-to-date information that the staff has and show this ordinance to you for your consideration. The first piece of information is that Department of Housing and Urban Development, of HUD, has adopted a new rule that requires new construction building permits applications submitted on or after January 1st, 2025, within the regulatory floodplain to be elevated at least 2 feet above the base flood elevation to qualify for Federal Housing Administration insurance funds. And you do have the article attached to your agenda today. And just a reminder, we do have the ground, and then we do have the base flood elevation, and then we have a freeboard, which is currently 1 foot. So that we're proposing to increase up to 2 feet for the top of the first habitable floor of the structure. The second piece of information that we have is we have a strong recommendation from North Carolina Department of Emergency Management, and specifically our National Flood Insurance coordinator with the state, Steve Garrett, that they do not recommend anything lower than 2 feet at this point. for freeboard. And thirdly, the staff has conducted some research and would like to share some findings what neighboring communities do now for the freeboard. Based on staff research, the following neighboring communities have already adopted a 2-food freeboard. They are Town of Silva, Jackson County, Town of Franklin, Town of Highlands, City of Brevard, Town of Black Mountain, Buncombe County, City of Hendersonville, Henderson County, City of Asheville, and the Town of Fletcher has a 3-food freeboard. Other nearby communities that still have a 1-food freeboard include Haywood County, Kenton, Clyde, and Maggie Valley. The Development Services Department inspected a total of 446 structures for damage assessment following the Hurricane Helene, and 342 of the structures had at least some degree of damage. And to answer the questions from the previous council meeting, up to this date, we do have 42 related floodplain permits, but something to keep in mind, a lot of them are just HVAC replacements and mechanical work because the degree of damages matter. As for substantial structures, we do not have any. We had assessed that 22 structures could potentially be substantially damaged. 2 came for the permit and were able to show that they're not substantially damaged. And we did have 2 structures that were not on our list. They just decided to rebuild after the flood damage period, regardless of the damage. So they just rebuild the house anyway. So this is the data that we have.
Olga,
Yes.
May I interrupt you? You
Yes.
said 22 structures were substantially damaged.
As determined by us preliminarily.
Okay. And after 2 of them showed that they were not substantially, and so
They don't have to.
net result is 20. And you said there are 0 permits
We
that have been
haven't-
pulled?
We haven't had any for now. No,
Okay.
sir. Yeah. We just
Okay.
have the 2 from the substantial list.
Okay.
So with that being said, we are trying to strengthening the floodplain ordinance to promote public safety and community resilience for the future and to plan for the general population. And we propose a 2-foot regulatory flood protection elevation, meaning that all new construction and substantial repairs within the regulatory floodplain will require the elevation of buildings such as the top of the first habitable floor to be at least 2 feet above the base flood elevation. Staff submits that the Sixth Amendment is consistent with goals 1 and 2 of the comp plan to promote smart growth principles in land use planning and zoning, to promote conservation design to preserve important natural resources, and goal 3 to protect and enhance Waynesville's natural resources, protect and enhance water quality and forests, protect rural lands, iconic views, and mountain vistas. Proposal is reasonable and in the public interest because it promotes safe reconstruction, and repair of structures within flood-prone zones, promoting safety of the residents and their properties. This proposal was unanimously recommended by the planning board as well. So this is the information we have. The ordinance in front of you is pretty short. All it has is 2 provisions for a 2-foot freeboard and just 2 definitions for a 500-year floodplain. We're not adding anything. We just putting the definition for this flood zone. And with that, we would like to offer it for council's consideration to adopt, reject, or table the ordinance.
This is a substantial change from the one that was presented to us earlier.
Okay. Chuck, you have questions?
No, no.
No, bro. Okay.
Can I clarify in section, item number 2 of the amended section 17.5 definitions, floodplain damage as follows. The 0.2% chance is a 500-year flood, correct?
Yes, sir. 100-year flood, which is a regulatory floodplain, is 1% chance, and we have it in the books. But we do have, county still provides the maps for 500-year flood, we just don't have any definition of it. So this is just a definition to define what we have on the maps.
Okay, and how many of the 342 structures that were damaged in that 500-year flood zone? Do we know that?
There were very, very few, and some of them were outside of any flood zone. Several of them. I don't know exact number, but we are not trying to propose any change for the 500-year floodplain. Currently, if you're in the 500 floodplain, you're in no flood zone. There's no 500.
Gotcha. Okay, so this would only change the properties that are in the 100-year floodplain.
Or floodway, which is the
Oh,
core.
floodway. Okay,
Yes, which currently we deregulate with 1 foot for the first
Okay.
habitable floor.
Gotcha.
We're asking for another. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
2 foot. And this is not the 4 feet that we're
No, this is,
suggested
well,
before.
the state wants 4 feet, they're trying to, but no.
Right.
No, this is just
the-
2 feet, and we are not going from the ground all of a sudden 18 feet. We are already asking, we already have an foot, and that's thing, so we're just asking for an additional, yes.
One more question. You listed the communities, neighboring communities that have at least 2 feet BFE plus 2, or the freeboard 2 feet. Do you have any idea if any of those were enacted after Helene?
Oh, they're prior, I'm most certain they're prior.
Okay.
Do you have any indication if, and this is asking a question that's outside of here, if Haywood County or any of the other municipalities are planning on rate or have on their agenda to raise?
And I did talk to the town planner, Clyde, yesterday, who's on our planning board, that he intends to bring it to council. And he was asking how we're, doing right now.
Any further questions? Go ahead.
Do we want to open up to public comment as well?
Yeah. Okay. I'm good. I'll ask if there's anyone out in the public that would like to speak to this amendment.
I think so.
Please, stand. What's his stick for, man?
It's the beaches. when you get out.
That's right.
No, I'm adamantly against base flood elevation plus 2. 2 years ago, we were all in this room and we vowed to look at the FEMA maps. The Hazelwood bathrooms, Rob, you said those were bad. Anthony, you said it was harder to renovate structures. I ran into that with my house. I've ran into that in multiple properties. Got 12 properties that are affected by it. And I've just so what I've done, the planning department did an excellent job on the damage report. And so what I've done is taken the damage report and went property by property. I didn't get all the way through the 400. How many, Olga? 446. I did get to 241 of calculating how high these foundations will be for each property. So you take the ground level, the topo maps from Haywood GIS, and you get the DFDs from this website, which thank you, Olga, for teaching me how to do that, and see what the difference is. So on this, you have the watermarks for from the town's data that is the watermarks from Helene. And then you've got how much BFE is above ground. So you've got, I came by earlier.
See it up there? Yep.
Depot Street, 9.7 feet. That's how high your foundation will be. The watermark. This one's Hazelwood Avenue across from my house, 7. Watermark on Hazelwood Avenue, 1.5 foot. Welch Street here behind town, 7.3 feet. Watermark. And my first question when I met with Olga was, how many at BFE one was flooded? Well, very few. And I imagine most of those, like Giles Chemical, their addition. But the problem down there, I believe that a mobile home had come apart at that bridge and blocked the bridge, dammed up the bridge. I don't think it was necessarily BFE that was wrong, the bridge that was too small. But, so, and back to, getting FEMA to redo this, before we strengthen regulations, we need to get accurate data to base this on. We've all acknowledged that it's wrong. And the calculations from BFE to, from the watermark, with the level of BFE to the watermark shows where it's, and if Helene did anything, it gave us this data so we can tell what parts of town, what addresses are wrong. So we're not trying to survey the entire town. We know where it's right. So, and this is data that we've never had before because we've never had it. So, I just want you to take that into consideration. And I've got the development standards from the 70s after the flood insurance, and they're actually, more accurate than the flood maps we have today. 1972, the TVA. So, we need to get that done before we restrict these areas anymore. And it's South Main Street. We're getting ready to tear down a ton of buildings on South Main Street. If I'm going to have to build something back on my properties that has a 7-foot foundation, or I'm going to have to, do $100,000 worth of flood proofing, it's not going to be worth it. I'll never get a return. If I have to lift these with my house, when I got in 2019, I know I'm over my time, but just bear with me, let's just say. When I came and did the floodplain development permit, it asks you how much your project's going to cost. Mine was way over 50% under my house. I had to lie so I wouldn't have to lift the whole damn house up 6.5. If I'd had to, it'd have been a tear down. The house would be gone. I'd have built something else there. So, thank y'all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your data. Does anyone else would like to speak?
And then I have a question for Olga.
Anyone else would like to, in the public would like to speak on the? Would you cut to the podium there?
My parents lived in Clyde. That's the family home. And we battled all this back and forth as well. The bottom line from my perspective is you can try to protect those houses the best you can, but it may not matter. It may not help at all because their house was flooded in 2004 twice. That's how I ended up moving back here to help them rebuild their house. Then they had another couple of floods here and there. Then Fred comes through and does damage in the house. This Helene, when it came through, we had proofed that house. We raised that house. We put the electrical circuits up 5 feet. We thought we did more than we needed to do to protect that house from future floods. This one had water in the second story. That would never have been predicted by any of this. So you're talking about major money to try to fix something to make it future proof. It may not matter. From my perspective, they would have been better off to take that $100,000 and borrow it, put it in a bank, and just have it there and be their own insurance company to handle these floods. Because it may not matter no matter what you do. It just may not matter.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I had to, I talked to Canton Planning Department today, and he's looking at it in March, and Canton has thrown it around.
All right.
Yes. I have a question for Olga, and she can probably read it straight from.
Oh, you read those?
Yes. If we do not raise it to 2, this does not go back to previous property owners and force them to raise their homes, correct?
No.
Only if they have substantial damage from a future flood.
Only if the structure is substantially damaged, 50% or more of the structure value pre-damage.
This would only be going forward for new builds.
A new build, not
It
retroactive.
would go for renovations that exceed
Renov-
50% of the value of the house.
Yes, pre-renovation, yes.
Well, it doesn't have to do with damage. It can be a renovation
It can be
in
repair or
excess of
renovation.
50% of the
Yes.
value of the
Right.
Can be
So property owners like Alex, who did not have any damage or did not hit 50%, would not be required to raise their home.
If you don't hit 50%, you are not. Moreover, commercial structures get an option to have an engineered flood proofing. There's a separate form for that, for commercial structure.
Where I'm going with this is, it is a new home, which we desperately need new homes in the town of Waynesville. Or affordable homes. The Federal Housing Administration loans or mortgages are intended for certain borrowers who might find it difficult to obtain loans otherwise. The federal government insures FHA loans, which are insured by private lenders such as banks and credit unions. If we do not do this, then affordable housing would not be able to get those loans. Is that correct?
No, so the zoning ordinance would not have any effect in terms of the finance. So if a private developer were to purchase a piece of property and use commercial lending on the project, they would then have to comply with whatever terms they're lender, regardless of our zoning. If their terms, if their requirements were more stringent in the town of Greenville.
But say you
They
had a
would have to-
developer come in and build homes and someone tried to purchase those
Right, so it
and they
might-
were not two bays.
it would exclude those borrowers who could only qualify under an FHA or a credit program, correct?
That's my biggest concern because most of those are affordable houses. And most of the affordable houses are built in floodplains.
That is not a legal question.
That's not a legal question, that's just a statement. Yeah.
From
That's
personal
just-
experience, mine is FHA loan, and it was nothing special about the income or anything. We were the first time home buyers.
Right.
We were allowed the option to have good interest rate and 5.5% down. And I'm still under FHA loan.
Yeah.
That's my only concern.
Do you feel if we need more time on this, there's not a problem stretching this out?
How's the rest of the board feeling? That's my,
I'm not pushing. Yeah, I'm not pushing. And
I think it's a good idea. I do have another motion to make after we consider this, which would be that we direct town staff to solicit or to look into costs of more flood studies, particularly in the Hazelwood area and perhaps in other areas. Alex has done quite a bit of research in different areas of town where it's possible, and that's what I hear. We talked about this. John brought it up, I think, 6 months, a year ago, or whatever. That
it's been 2 years.
we needed new flood maps. And so we need to figure out what the cost is going to be. This is not a great year to try to spend a whole lot of money, but Rob has indicated he thought it could be $50,000 up in Hazelwood. At that point in time, of course, it looks like there are other areas, according to Alex, to use some adjustments possibly too. So if that would be my motion, if we pass this to, or don't pass it, that we look into the cost of revising our budget.
I would, like I said, 2 years ago, I think we need to dig into those flood maps and because they have such far-reaching implications on the citizens of Waynesville. So I would be all in favor of that, even if it, costs us a little bit of money. Now, as far as the larger question, should we enact this? I love the idea in theory. I think it's a fantastic idea. But I worry that the practical application is going to place a substantial financial burden on folks that are already hurting. And so that would be my concern, overarching concern. And the other question, and Alex, God love you for providing this, because this is really illustrative of what actually happened in this.
16 hours straight of work.
This, you can see what actually happened, and I worry, are we chasing a solution that really doesn't have a problem? So that's kind of where I am, is I worry that we would impose an additional burden on folks who are already burdened. That is it really, do we need to do that, given the fact that there have been 4 of these floods in the last 20 years, right? We've all been through those things.
Yeah.
And this is the first one of the 4 that really impacted Waynesville. And the other question that is turning in my mind is, how much is it actually going to impact the bottom line of these folks? I remember when we first started talking about building that bathroom in Hazelwood, which is BFE +2, we went from a cost that, okay, let's do it, to, oh my gosh, this is going to be just crazy expensive. And if that's the kind of thing that we're going to be hitting these folks with, I worry about, is it worth it? Is the payoff worth the cost, I guess? So that's kind of where I am.
I would be more apt to look at the flood maps and then actually get data, determine how many houses and where this is before we do any action.
So if the board wants more evidence before closing the public hearing and pass another motion in the public hearing.
I move we close the public hearing.
Thank you.
We beat this dog to death, haven't we?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
And we can still talk about it.
okay.
It sounds like it's pretty much the consensus of the board that we don't want to do anything right now. We don't have to do it.
No.
But we can still
There's
make
no
a motion
motion.
at any point in time in the future
Yeah.
to adopt an ordinance. I would like to make my motion that I just made, which is that directs town staff to look into the cost of preparing new flood maps for Hazelwood and for other areas in the town that were affected by the flood.
Love it.
Second, but John, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And we don't have to do anything at all with other,
No.
just, go ahead.
We beat that dog to death.
You can't have a motion, instruct staff, bring it back to you. And
Yeah.
so
At a
on and
future
so
date.
forth, but
Tell
you-
later.
No, we don't.
Tell later.
as long as you don't go to count.
Okay. All right, let's move on. You guys need a break or anything, or?
Do you need
Kathy?
a break? I'm good at the
You
moment.
good? You good, Chuck? Yeah. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, we'll move on. The new business, and the new business will be, Beth, you wanna bring us up on the 501 nonprofit extension for the downtown Waynesville Association?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. As most of you know, I am Beth Gilmore. I'm the director of the Downtown Waynesville Commission. And I am here tonight on their behalf to express a desire of our board to consider forming a nonprofit as an extension of our organization. This was a discussion we started having among our board in July. We voted in July to move forward with sort of the exploratory process of what that would look like. So we started reaching out to Main Street program leaders, other Main Street community leaders, and it became very clear that there's a lot of work involved, a lot of decisions to be made. And before we got too far into that process, we wanted to be sure that we had blessing of the board behind us. This is a common structure model throughout the Main Street community. I provided a list of all the Main Street communities and their designations. So you'll see that about half of Main Street communities throughout the state are structured as quasi-judicial models. The advantage to us is that it will open us up to additional grant opportunities. Our motive here is pretty much strictly to diversify our funding streams and be able to open us up to new funding opportunities, grants, sponsorships, things like that. So we would like your approval to move forward with Martha. We've met with Martha already for a preliminary discussion. We all seem to agree that the 501c3 would be a more appropriate structure for us to pursue. And she is available and willing to sort of walk us through that process, help us with the preparation of documents, filing those documents, and understanding what the next steps are. We do understand that the devil is in the details here, and we admittedly have not gotten too far into the details because we know that we need someone like Martha working very closely with us to iron those things out. We will bring those back to for your review once those decisions are made. And also, I happen to have a program specialist here tonight who is here to help us facilitate our planning retreat tomorrow. She recently promoted to the state level from a local program that is a quasi-judicial model. So she is willing to answer a few questions just because we have her here tonight. She's available and accessible to you if you would like to ask her.
No, I don't have any questions.
I have questions. But
Yeah, I'll just tell the board that the nonprofit partner for the government agency is common, and see it as element, it's the school system, there are nonprofit arms to help raise funds, sponsorships from companies that are gonna want that 501c3 designation, they can get tax benefits from the donation. It makes perfect sense to be able to move in the direction of that.
The school has a foundation, right?
Right, so, and the police department has something similar to that, so the benevolent organization that raised money for, perks for the officers, a school, the Arts Foundation for the schools, the boosters that raise money for the football program. This is a very common model. I think it makes perfect sense based on what Beth says, pursue with the next phase of existence, or how it's going.
Okay. Anyone have any further questions?
You mentioned tax donations. I mean, donations to governmental entities are tax deductible too. I think probably what we're talking about is grant opportunities.
Correct.
More. What kinds of grants are we unable to get right now?
Well, the Main Street program provides a funding guide of all of the grant opportunities that are out there, and we have focused strictly on those that are available to us, and there's quite a few on that list. I can't speak specifically to what they are, but there's quite a few on that list that we've just overlooked because we don't qualify.
And those grants would be for nonprofit purposes, not for business purposes.
Yes, sir.
what kind of a, tax entity was the, downtown Waynesville?
It was
They were
a
C4.
C4,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And the other thing that I had a question about, and this will come up later, but, this requires some separation from government control, but are we allowed to have some sort of control over this? And the reason I'm saying that is because we went through a period of time where we didn't have control over spending in an organization. And I think that we want to make sure that, and I'm sure, well, everyone wants to make sure that all the accounting is, all the money is accounted for.
Right, and that was something that we discussed many months ago, but I know that we did discuss that exact concern that you have. But that can be something that's addressed in the organization.
Okay.
So that there
So
are
if there
proper.
is some control allowed, perhaps, or. And then just one other thing, just to clear it up for me, you mentioned quasi judicial. I think we're talking quasi public though, perhaps rather than quasi judicial.
Yes, I've
Okay. All right, thank you.
seen both terms in Main Street
That's
paperwork,
okay.
but I think
We get
whichever
involved
you
in that with
prefer.
the planning board and everything. and all
Sure.
the boards, so we use that word quite
There would be no,
a lot, so that's why I wanted to share.
no findings of fact required.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm agreeable.
Chuck hit on every aspect that I was bringing up. And we would have to have final approval before they could move forward anyway.
Right, so we would, when Beth and I discussed the process, we agreed that you should bring this before the board to get your initial blessing, stamp of approval on the concept before moving forward any further beyond that. And then getting that approval from the board would then come back with documents.
You would get the articles of organization and the bylaws.
So, right, correct, all of the formation documents, the IRS documents, depending on exactly what structure, and also for an opportunity for us to get feedback. If the board has very specific requests about what the structure of the board for this organization should be, it should be concurrent with the commission. And as an aside, really should have some segregation of oversight. So not a mirror image of the commission, but certainly overlaps. So you have people who have the organizational knowledge and background of what's going on both sides of the coin. So you don't have the left hand not knowing what the right hand does in the situation. But also not so much that they're basically all trying to go to destroy the segregation that you're looking for to create in this partner organization. So if the board has any specific requests about how many board members, town council members should be on the board, how many commission members should be on the board, if there should be particular members of the community from different groups of the community on board of the nonprofit, this would give us an opportunity for you guys to give us those directives. So that way we don't have to have that conversation twice.
Right. And I could probably speak for you. I have ideas and I know you have ideas. So it would be, and Chuck does as well, who
And
should
this-
be on that board.
These are also insights that can be sent back.
Right.
And I think the other thing we're interested in also is spending authority and how that would work. Exactly. And obviously it's got to be there has to be some independence.
In Statesville, they have, the entire organization was a 501c, and 2 board members and the town manager sat on that board. And it was specified in the documents, so you can see how that can work in practice.
Right. Okay.
I move that we allow DWC staff to proceed in the development of a nonprofit.
Better go get your
extension of
drugs.
the DWC.
And I'll second. So we have a first and a second, Mayor.
So are you good?
We have a
Everybody
first.
good with it? Okay. Someone?
I just made a motion.
Okay.
Anthony second.
Anthony, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Miss- You're good. Okay. Alex, got a consideration for a possible approval of the logo for the Waynesville Historic Preservation Commission. They have to hold in on it. And then get the logo.
Good evening, Board. Alex Mumby, Land Use Administrator for the town and Staff Liaison for the Historic Preservation Commission. The Historic Preservation Commission has a number of projects that are fairly close to completion, including their historic sign project and the self-guided walking tour book. And so what we have before you today are two proposals for a possible logo for the Waynesville Historic Preservation Commission that could be used on those projects that are in the public in order to denote them as being official projects of the town and of the Historic Commission. The two logos are very similar, and even on your screens, you might not be able to tell the difference. But on the main difference between them is that logo option A uses a much more cleaner font, and option B uses a rougher font that kind of informs the more historic nature of Waynesville. During the last Historic Preservation Commission meeting, the commission voted in favor of option A, as it was more readable, especially on the small scale that this would be appearing on official documents. It's important to note that this logo would always be used in conjunction with the town seal, so the town seal would also be on all of these products to denote that they're official products of the town of Waynesville itself. The logo shows the Sulphur Springs Spring House, which is the last remaining structure of the historic White Sulphur Springs Hotel. That hotel was one of the foundational parts of tourism in Waynesville, where people would come from all over the region in order to bathe in the natural sulfur springs located on the property for their purported healing benefits, whether they existed or not. Today, I've also got Alex and Claire, who are members of our Historic Preservation Commission, and I want to recognize them, and if they wanted to say anything in favor of the logos as well.
This logo, like Alex said, Sulphur Spring House, I've said before, this is the singular most important property in Waynesville's history that we have, and it's the only thing we have left of it. Also, the historic preservation, we've worked for this as long as I've been on it. We've got to get money and get the spring house restored. Mayor Foy did in the 90s, got in bad shape. So we've got it restored again. And if you've not been down there, go check it out. This logo, I remembered I had this logo somewhere. This was a logo that we used before for the Waynesville Historical Society. And so everybody died. Everybody, except for one member, they had stopped using that. Well, they disbanded. Now we have the Haywood County Historical Society. Like I said, this was Waynesville. Lee Starnes was the only member still living from that society.
They used to meet right over there.
You're exactly right. And Lee's off. Yeah. I tracked down the author. She did some other work. She did the coloring book for us, asked her for her permission. She said she'd love for us to use it again. And I told her, we'd doctor it a little bit. It being so important to Waynesville's history, I think it's only right as we use it for our logo. Thank you.
I'd like to commend the group for coming up with a good logo and thought.
Yeah, we've got a lot of exciting projects that are coming to a head. We don't get to talk to y'all very much, and but we've got a lot of stuff coming up. The cemetery tour, John, you're still up for that?
Yes.
We're going to do that in conjunction with Appalachian Day. Since, we normally do it in the fall, but we had flood. So it's May 3rd. May 3rd's the day, so I'll be getting in touch with you. The signs, we've got some beautiful signs. We're still in the stages of working it out, that all the history's written and the pictures chosen. The signs will be Hazelwood, Main Street, 2 on Main Street. Hazelwood, Main Street, the courthouse, and Frog Level, or is where we're starting at, with those signs. And Silver Springs, yeah. And then when we get done with these, we'll come back and ask for some more money for some more. Thank you.
Mayor?
Was there any recommendation from the commission, which one of these? photos
Yeah.
they like?
A.
A.
And I was gonna talk to you about this being the print guy. You would definitely want to go with A from B because of bleed.
I'm having blurry vision on that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you know how it bleeds, so I am fully in favor of option
And a
A.
printing business, yeah.
Yeah.
Make that motion.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we approve logo A. For the
Second.
Got a motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Got it.
All right, thank you. And as we complete these projects, we'll be sure to bring them in front of you guys just to show you the great work the commission's been doing. Thank you.
I'm not gonna recommend it yet.
All right, we'll move right along. Let's see. Upgrade the meter reading technology to be compatible with our software meters. Is it Ian?
Evening, everyone.
Ian?
So towards the end of 2024, we received a quote from our provider, Neptune. Basically, our handheld stopped working with our current software because,
Well, it's ancient.
yes, it is. It's now officially classified as a legacy software. So there's no tech support or anything related to it anymore. And we've tried to send off our actual handheld meter readers to get repaired. And the repairs only last a couple months. They take about a year to get back. They're very costly. So we are asking to officially upgrade our software from Insight to Neptune 360, so we can keep gathering accurate meter readings, billing customers accurately. And we divided the cost among 4 different departments. Each of those departments has 2 line items there, so it has a minimal impact to everyone affected. Is there any questions?
Let's do it. Long overdue.
That's long overdue, ain't it?
Yes.
Very long overdue.
Chuck, do you have any question?
No, I know that we're going to consider, AMI, but that's too far in the future to be able to, deal with the current situation.
Yeah, and that's something that I've discussed with our current software provider, just kind of letting them know, in the long run, that is something we want to switch over to. So it's on our liaison's radar down the road to introduce products and software that are going to be compatible with that.
Did they tell you it was gonna be seamless transition from the old software to the new software?
No,
I'm
but
laughing 'cause-
the nice thing is that they're doing like the implementation side of it, which will be great because we'll have a newer person starting in that role soon, so they'll be able to transition along software. So I foresee it going pretty well.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve upgrading our current meter reading software to allow for an efficient and timely delivery of billing.
Second.
Second to John, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So like sign. Okay,
Thank you all.
thanks, Tim. Okay, next, is designated parking place adjacent to the handicap space on 500 Hazelwood Avenue for Farm to Gate Bakery as a 15-minute parking zone. Rob?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We were approached by Ms. Hall with a request to designate that parking space in front of her business as a 15-minute loading zone. The current space is one of 2 spaces on her side of the street on that block, the other being a handicap space. her issue is that the space are occupied by vehicles much of the day, leaving her patrons without easy access to her business. Ms. Hall pointed out to me that this is the same situation that the board dealt with at Candy's Bakery, when you established the loading zone there. So the item is on the table for your discussion.
It's not Candy's Bakery, the item, but in the past, my experience, Jim, in fact, became a guy on legal. I don't know for anything.
Yeah. It's one of them.
You told me. That's how it came from it.
Okay. Chuck, do you have any questions?
Question. I can tell you what I think about it.
Yeah, I have
Sure.
thoughts too, but I have thoughts about the handicap that needs to be in a more central location. But that's
Handicap needs to be in a
more central location.
Yeah.
That would free up another parking space.
What I heard tonight from all the folks who spoke about this was that maybe we shouldn't just make this a 30-minute parking space. Perhaps all the street parking in Hazelwood should be 30-minute parking. I don't know if that's something that people are in favor of or not. The other thing that I'm wondering if there's a way to have some sort of a community forum on this, try to figure out, although that could produce more disagreement and consensus on how to do this. I'm not a parking expert, and I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't think the best thing. I think though that rather than calling it a loading zone, I think maybe 30-minute parking would be okay for this spot or all along the street in Hazelwood.
Right now, we're speaking of this one spot.
Yeah. I shop there. We go there quite a bit. I'm rarely there longer than 30 minutes. And we do have a great parking lot there. In terms of the handicap spots, I'm not sure what the other spots are.
They're in the off-street lot.
That's
right. We don't have any on-street spaces because it's somewhat dangerous to have a handicap open their door on the street. So we centered them in the new parking area that we built.
And that was my thing, is we have handicapped in the parking lot. Why do we have a handicap here?
It's just been there.
Well, if I may, the sidewalk corner by John Bergen's property does not have a ramp. So without that space, anybody that needs handicap accessibility is not going to have it unless we redo that from the spot. On that corner. That's why I was advocating to keep that spot.
But we have handicap parking spots in the public parking.
But they would not be able to walk to our end. It's not me.
Right.
It's not my parking space, my
Right.
store. It's that end of Hazelwood. They have no access to us because the way the sidewalks work, they're contract.
So you're saying they can park in the handicap parking spaces in the parking lot, but have no access to the sidewalk?
That's correct.
We need to look at that.
Yeah.
We have a parking engineer on staff.
That's where I was going.
No.
Do we have someone we can converse with for
well,
parking?
Preston Gregg did the parking plan for Hazelwood when we converted that gravel lot of 31 spaces to the current lot of 81, and we completely rebuilt that entire part of the town. We tore down buildings, and it really doesn't even look like the lot when I moved here. We have not ever considered anything about parking on the street. I can work with Preston. He's, as you know, he's still available. We use him a lot. And I can talk to JMT about doing a parking plan for the spaces. I will tell you that, one of the most, the issues that any downtown has is, are you going to enforce the 1 or 2 hour parking? If not, you're going to give tickets. And if you do, are you going to enforce it? And if so, is the district court going to and the prosecutor going to help you, or are they going to dismiss the charges? And this is something I could say if I was the manager of every town in the state of North Carolina. It's just the issue of parking, citations is really low on the district attorney's list of criminal charges. So what we did in Statesville was once a person had $3,000 of parking tickets, we took them to small claims court and got a judgment against them and then went against the credit rating. That was the only way to enforce our parking ordinance. And we had 1,600 on-street space.
I'm gonna go with Chuck here. I'm not an expert on parking. I would rather have someone who is an expert to give us what needs to be done in Hazelwood.
And we can do that. There are plenty of parking folks around. I think we would agree that the downtown, the spaces that are set up on the off-street lot are okay. We need to concentrate on what we do with the
parking.
on-street.
Yep. And then we can go from there, and if it turns out to be good, then do it in all of Wayne.
That's correct. I will tell you that I've watched the, strict parking, no parking, strict parking, and 50% of the property owners want it, 50% don't.
Right.
You will not win on this. It's like dogs. You'll never win on a dog
I
ordinance.
know, but I would rather have someone who's an expert than.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, I do have another comment. If I were an employer, I would direct my employees not to park in the public parking spaces on the street anyway.
Right.
I mean, use the.
And you are allowed to do that as an employer.
Yeah, sure.
Only
In
if it's in the
CDO.
employee handbook.
Yeah.
So that works for new employees, it doesn't work with that.
You can revise your employee handbook at any time.
And we are. There's different reasons. I will say that there's, two sides to every page of the book, and I have a really thick book since I moved into Hazelwood. There are things that you don't know that I haven't brought forward to anybody. So this is not just a simple thing. I urge you, I beg you to form a commission to look into parking in Waynesville and really work out some things, get some other opinions, get my opinions. I've got, Nashville's got it going on. They've got a program that I think is something we're looking at. But there are many ways to work something out, but you've got to have the will to do it. You've got to start. And
That's
that
where I'm
commission-
starting is we're gonna get an engineer who actually is an expert and not people's opinion, which is what a commission usually becomes, is opinions. I would rather have base anything on factual
As
data.
far as the physicality of a parking lot, yes, but the need to have this issue addressed does involve the merger, and it does involve.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and we have that in the town of Waynesville with the downtown Waynesville.
All right, the census
Right,
is,
exactly.
the census is you're gonna,
Are you gonna table this? That one we're headed.
yeah,
We're gonna table it.
we'll table this right here, but we're gonna suggest to Rob to have, Preston to do a study of Hazelwood parking area.
Mayor Chad had a question.
In the past years, have you ever had anybody complain?
We have people,
Big,
Almost
Oh.
constantly.
especially on Main Street.
Yeah.
Not in
I've
Hazelwood,
had,
but on Main Street.
I've had many people complain about Hazelwood's the lack of parking.
Parking like that, exactly like on Main Street, that's fine. But I don't, and no offense to you, and I know that this side has a whole lot of history, and I try to stay as Switzerland as possible. But I don't think one space for a loading zone is gonna help or hurt.
It's only one space, because that's all that's on that side of town.
Hold it.
That way, we are gonna have an engineer.
This has been.
We're getting so far out. The decision is that we're gonna have, Preston
expert.
Gregg, an engineer to do a study of the parking area in Hazelwood. Do we need a motion on that, or?
Well,
I don't think we need necessarily any study, but I think Rob is going to consult with.
Yes.
I'll either talk to Preston or I'll talk to Shane.
Okay, all right,
Perfect.
we're good. We move on. Okay, next we have, Georgia, 280 Georgia Avenue, the Finance Department renovations bid.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're finally bringing to you the product of a lot of work that we've undertaken after the flood. The first of two bids we'll present you tonight. This is the bid, on the finance department. We had 5 bidders. The low bidder, did not have a valid North Carolina contractor's license at the time the bids were opened. The next low bidder was John Bergen, in construction at $227,000, and we recommend that you award the bid to John Bergen.
Any questions?
I just, philosophically, I have an issue with the idea of low bids always. And so, and it's not this particular, but more so the next one coming up. But we are certain that the low bid is not a sacrifice. Well, correct.
We can't assume that until we get on the job. We do know that the courts have held that we, except in exceptional reasons, we must take the low. It really, I've dealt with this for 30 years, and I've had tried to get out of many a low bid, and the lawyers have said, you unless it's an exceptional issue, you have to take it. And I've ended up in court, over it. So, that's the only what you have to do is you have to do the bid, and if the quality of the work, you cancel the contract and fire the contractor. That's how you deal with it.
Rob, I did have one question. Is there any type of flood proofing that in the proposal?
No. That'll be something we need to take separately. That would be a separate specialty that we'd have to get an architect. We did not engage an architect to deal with this. Our goal is to try to get the finance department back in their building, because this in and of itself will take 3 to 4 months. Yeah. But I intended on trying to find an architect that specializes in flood proofing, because I believe that if we could flood proof the entrances, that we could probably protect the building. Once we build fire station number 2, we can close the bays and enclose the bays and create office space out there. So that was one of the main areas where the flood came in, and in the long term, those bay doors can be removed.
Right. Give me a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we accept the John Bergen bid.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So like sign. Okay.
You even have to say, I'll make a motion that we approve the low bid of Appalachian site work in the amount of $235,970.11.
That before we,
Yeah.
That was the one that I was
I don't
really
Yep.
interested in. We had Mattern and Craig kind of backing us up, right?
This is their they did this entire project. The only thing I did was open the bid.
Okay.
I have not been involved in the design or the negotiation. I did talk to Jeff Steins. He walked through to laugh at me. And he said that Appalachian Site Work is an excellent company. He was very happy that they turned the low bid. If you will notice, though, the bids on the bid tab are very close, and that tells you don't have a fly-by-night company coming in and beating you down and then immediately asking for a change order. So there's comfort in a tight bid, and that's what you have.
And it wasn't 174, it's
Is
230.
Appalachian Site Work local?
They're in the region. I can't say. Jeff, they have done business for us. That's how Jeff knew their reputation.
Gotcha.
They're enough in the region that they work for us.
Our biggest concern is, can they start tomorrow?
I wish I can. There'll be a period we need to, contract with them, and then they, of course, need to mobilize. And they have to order some special steel plates to be fabricated. They will dig a new footing first of all, they have to divert the stream. It has to be done dry by our Corps of Engineers permit. So they're dried out, and then they have to dig a new footing, pour the footing, and attach the new footing to the old footing with very, very large steel plates. So they'll probably have to get a fabrication company to fabricate the steel plate. I've acquired the easements from Jim Pierce and from Frank Bonomo, and we've got the land. We're ready to go. And the engineer knows from the beginning when I engaged him, he knows how important this job is to get started.
We're getting hammered.
I know you are. I know you are. I'm getting hammered by the county employees who don't like to drive around either.
Okay, give me a motion.
I have a motion on the table.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So like sign. I will take this to your fingers if you oppose. How's that? We gotta get that bridge back open.
Yes, we do.
Okay, we move on to communication from staff. Rob, you have anything else for us tonight?
No, sir.
Ms. Town Attorney, you have anything else for us tonight? Okay, we'll start with communication. We'll start on this end.
No, Mayor. Well, I did attend the North Carolina Police Chiefs Association meeting today. Was in Cherokee, and it's there tomorrow. Governor Stein and our new Attorney General spoke. Very nice to be there today.
Say that again.
Governor Stein and our new Attorney General both were on site today in Cherokee, and was able to speak to them. So it was very nice.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, you have any?
I will just say, thank you, Mayor, for your kind words in regards to my mother and Anthony, likewise. In the, story, the life and times of Elizabeth Victor, the chapter on when she served on the town board of aldermen would be one of the most important. She and I talked many, many times over the years about her service on the board and how satisfying that was to her. And till the very end, it was her, she was concerned about the town of Waynesville, asking me very recently what's going on with the town. So I'm grateful for everybody's support and the love that they have and prayers that they have offered, and just know that she's up there somewhere looking down on us, making sure that we're doing the right thing for this community and the citizens. So, thank you.
Yeah. Your recommendation, would you recommend Park Theater or rather than Flowers? Or
Either Sarge's or the Art Theater. And if y'all have not had a chance to read her obituary on the Wells Funeral Home, not the one in the paper, the one in the paper was kind of an abbreviated version.
Yeah.
And what has struck me is many of the folks who left remembrances on the Wells Funeral Home obit, just beautiful. I'm talking about the impact that she had on their lives and fostering a love of music and what have you. So she was a remarkable woman.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, the other thing I know that you're familiar with, I don't know this or not, but Margaret Langston passed away Sunday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sunday morning. Yeah,
That's
Sunday
too
morning.
bad.
Brittany, I think, working on that and so they're working on maybe doing something there, keeping some.
She
aware of
was,
what's going on
she
there.
was a great lady.
Okay, I don't really have anything. Chuck, do you have anything?
Real briefly, Saturday, 11 o'clock is the Martin Luther King March camping this year, meeting at Harris Chapel, AME Zion Church, which is right behind the Canton Public Library. The march is down
Now,
the
what,
hill.
that's on Monday?
11
Saturday.
on Saturday morning,
Saturday
11
morning.
o'clock.
And Monday is the.
Prayer breakfast. is on
Prayer
Monday.
breakfast is-
Second, I want to commend Rob on selecting the new Public Works Director. I don't know if you've met him or not, but Ricky Bourne.
I haven't got to
I
meet
I
him.
was very impressed. I think we're going to be in good hands. And thirdly, you've heard me talk about this before, but I think it's finally coming to fruition. The home electrification and appliance rebates. North Carolina finally got approved to distribute the $200 million that it has. You can go to a website called Energy Saver North Carolina, Energy Saver, SAVER, North Carolina, and it talks all about it. But this is the money that will be available, and they're talking about rollout on first. Homeowners, tenants, and landlords for up to $14,000 for heat pumps electrification based on area median income. If one person family making $46,200 or less is eligible for up to the $14,000 in assistance. 4 people family, $66,000. That's income. And that is 80% of the area median income, the $66,000 for family 4. Again, available for up to $8,000 per heat pump, heat pump water heaters, electric upgrades, electric stoves, and that sort of thing. But anyway, the details, we still don't know, but they're supposed to be announced this week.
Yeah, Energy Saver NC.
Energy Saver
or-
NC, that works if you
Okay.
Google that.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the update there.
Mhm.
Okay. All
That's
right.
it.
I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Vote. I don't think anybody will vote. So, thank you all for coming out tonight.